Alrighty, so we have a game with 1d4. Let's see how this goes. So, okay, we have d4, c4, which is nice. And is he gonna go? Okay, so that takes that takes bishop b4 out of the picture, which yeah, is a bit maybe uncomfortable if you, let's say, always play the Nimzo Bogo, because you can't really play bishop b4 now. And that, yeah, changes how you should play. And I will say this is where kind of having some knowledge of, I'm just going to play d5, but this is where having some knowledge of maybe, let's say, different structures slash openings might come in handy, because, like, okay, you can see right now they're not quite giving us the thing that we're used to, let's say. So we're gonna have to kind of adapt a little bit. Now, I'm just gonna play a setup which would look fairly logical. I'm gonna develop my bishop. I'm gonna castle, and yeah, they're kind of playing a Catalan now. Okay. This is a complete mess what they're doing. I'm gonna explain this in a little bit, but they just took on d5, which might look like a relatively innocent move, but in my opinion is already actually kind of a serious, strategic misunderstanding of the position. Let's say. Um, Bishop f5. Only thing about bishop f5 is sometimes knight h4. I kind of want to avoid. So I'll play h6 first, just so I can meet this with bishop h7. But yeah, this move c takes d5 is not really quite correct because it opens this bishop up, and there are some positions, well, many positions, like there's a structure rather called the Carlsbad in the Queen's Gambit declined, where this is more, let's say, permissible to take. And well, I mean, there's like a whole structure where that's just completely normal, but one thing in that structure is you always have to be watching out for this knight squared bishop. And also, white's bishop on g2, like this sort of Catalan approach they've took to the position, is very often misplaced in the structure. So you got to be, I mean, careful in the Catalan when you take on d5. Um, Typically, the way they did it was not really correct. So, okay, I'm going to take with the a pawn. Knight takes, I think, is also okay, but yeah, b5 already is like kind of not super pleasant for them. Okay, knight e5. I'm gonna play. I'll just continue with the plan. I don't see any need for me to release the tension and take. I'm just gonna take back. If they go e4, that is actually an interesting idea, though, I will say. Which I think maybe they should try, because at least with this, if they go take, and they play d5 at some point to open this diagonal up, then they can sort of justify this whole setup for them. But yeah, the fact they didn't is not a super great sign for them. Now, they can still play this, but now I feel like my knight is in time to get d5. And this version of the IQP, with queens off and the bishop on g2 as well, is not so great. This is another thing, is that this e4 move, allowing an IQP structure, with your bishop on g2, even with queens on the board, is generally considered to be not super great, let's say. So, yeah, it helps to have like a general, let's say, compass of understanding of a lot of different kind of pawn structures to play these positions well. I'm gonna go b4 now, just open things up, and yeah, for my rook as well. And I thought, okay, one of my concrete ideas, I didn't quite express this, but was if they were to play e4 with my bishop on b4, I believe that this would be quite a decent option for them, or for us rather, because if take, I thought, and I'm winning material, and if take also looked like it's winning material. Now, there was just one line I realized then, which maybe is not so bad for them, which is take rook b1. But even then, I have rook a2. I don't believe in this for them, so I'm just gonna take, see what's up. And I mean, we could even play knight b2 as well. Opposite card bishops there, but at least rook b1 I take on d4, and that looks very, I would say, promising. I kind of prefer this though, keeping the knight on versus the bishop if I had a say. So yeah, I'm gonna go for this. I think it works tactically. I mean, that's like the one thing you need to watch out for is, like, let's say take rook b1, rook a2, and they somehow come around and like pin us from that direction. But yeah, here I don't think it quite works. At least not in a way that I think we should be concerned about things, let's say. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead with this, and basically, okay, that I feel like might not be the most efficient use of time. I get what they're trying to do, like get rid of that pawn that they're arguing is maybe kind of useless and inflict damage in our structure. I think I should go b5 though, or black should go b5, just because what I want to do is I want to get this knight out of the way on c4. But if I do it immediately, of course I hang the pawn. So yeah, I'm gonna go b5. And if they go rook fc1, I go knight c4. So this all works out perfectly. And now, simply my plan is I want to probably push the b pawn. Now, I might not want to rush it though, right? Like I could go rook b8 and rush this down the board, but I have to be careful, for example, and move like bishop f1. And then like they could, because the knight's not as securely tightened, or protected rather with this guy there, could be some extra counterplay I need to worry about. But this one, okay, maybe he's trying to come around this way. Let's say I go king f6, just prevent that. What's he gonna do next? Yeah, I mean, rook d2 as well. Maybe I can think about doing this in the next move. Does this blunder knight d2? Knight d2. I guess they have rook a1. Because, yeah, then knight f3, king h1, take. So I guess that's not the end of the world. Okay. So, yeah, I think a trade of one pair of rooks though doesn't hurt me. So I'm going to go knight d2. I don't see anything better than rook a1. I think anything else just runs into this. So I think he has to go rook a1. I'm going to go rook a8. And there the knight f3 threat is still in the air. So like pretty much I think they have to exchange. I'm going to exchange. And I think all in all that should be in our favor. Actually, I mean, I'm missing something simpler actually now that I look at this closer, which is I just have this and this and I win that pawn, and then, I mean, okay, they're dead if I have three protected, not protected, but three connected passes on that side of the board. That's completely hopeless. So, is rook e2, well, okay, rook e2 is a similar deal, right? I go knight f3, I take, and then I take on d4, so that's also not so good. Yeah, it's tough out here. What can I say? It is tough out here. Okay, so they finally made a move. But yeah, again, as I was saying earlier, I think we can just go take, knight f3, and win this pawn. So that's what we're going to do. And yeah, unfortunately, I don't see a whole lot of saving grace for them in this position. It's going to be relatively straightforward for us to convert this, unless we do something absolutely ridiculous, which is, it's hard to even come up with like how would anyone completely like stuff this up as black. Like I would like to think even if I was playing Magnus Carlsen, there would be no way I could mess this up, right? Like it's too good to lose, like, or too good to even not win, I guess is the more accurate way to put it, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure if I'm playing Magnus, like, okay, I can't even say that actually. Like, I'm not even sure how Magnus would hold this. It's just ridiculous, right? B4. I mean, even at some point I can play c5 and sack the h6 pawn. I don't think I care about that, to be honest. Now, actually, in hindsight, there was one thing actually I was maybe a bit lucky to not fall into, which was that. I didn't realize that was made. If I push c5 too early. So actually, yeah, there was one way you could mess it up, right? There was one way. Okay, let's play rook e8, just cut the king off there. Just, yeah, stop it from helping the guys on the queen side. And, yeah, okay, let's go c5 maybe. Can also go king c5. Let's do this. Rook a5, king b6, and then I push the pawns if they could do that. Okay. b3, take. b2 perhaps looks pretty good, I would say. Maybe I just throw in rook b8 for good measure. No, okay, let's go king b4. Actually, I prefer this a bit more. Okay, I hit the bishop with tempo, and I also free this pawn up, is the basic idea. Yeah. Okay, bishop h7, b2, rook e4 is a funny idea. Yeah, maybe what I do is I go rook b7, knight b5, and then he plays something, and I go rook e4 to kind of block from both directions. Okay, so I take. I assume he takes that way, and I go rook e4. He can take that. He can go rook b7, but then I go knight b5, and there we go. Okay, so knight b5, as we were talking about, and he can take, but doesn't really help them much, unfortunately. Just delays matters by a move. Okay, so we have the computer graph, analysis graph kind of popping up here. It says 97% accuracy. I don't care too much about these numbers, but I would say it sounds relatively reasonable. And I think one thing I want to point out, guys, is this point early on. You can see the engine already like says black is slightly better, right? And this is going to come back to what I was talking about, right? Which is that this whole structure where they take on d5, like there's some positions, right? Like let's say this is a very famous variation of the Queen's Gambit declined, and one of the things that they want to make sure is that they don't allow black to develop the light squared bishop out so early. Like if we do so on move 5, for example, they can go takes, as the engine points out. Queen takes, drops the pawn, and this one, then there's queen b3, and we're probably dropping a pawn, right? So you can see there's some like concrete reasons why you cannot develop the light squared bishop out so early, which would otherwise be one of probably the concessions that white is allowing on taking on d5. Yet, even in spite of this, a lot of strong players, basically every strong player who plays d4 probably has this in their repertoire as white, right? So there's a reason why, whereas in these sort of Catalan positions, you usually don't take on d5 unless black plays like b6 at some point. And now you will see the engine actually says that you want to take on d5, and it's just for the simple reason that this structure where you play b6, like, okay, if I were to try to pull off the same development I did in the game with like bishop f5, c6, whatever, it wouldn't really hit the same because then the c6 pawn is weak long term, right? So I'd probably develop my bishop this way, but okay, then white can kind of play some natural developing moves, and yeah, it's not so easy for black because, I mean, when you play b6, kind of at some point c5 would be a natural break, but the bishop is on the perfect diagonal actually to kind of be taking a look at the d5 pawn, which often kind of ends up a weakness in these structures when you go c5 at some point, either because you take on d4 and give white an isolated queen's pawn, or you give yourself an isolated queen's pawn rather as black, or white takes on c5 and you have these hanging pawns, in which both cases the bishop on g2 is useful. But you can see we did not allow that because we played c6, right? And we played kind of in more of like maybe a Slav kind of fashion, you could say. It feels a little bit wrong because we have a Carlsbad structure, but hopefully you get what I'm saying, which is that we're eventually going to put this light squared bishop outside the pawn chain. And yeah, the problem is they just kind of lack a clear plan in this, like, again, basically a Carlsbad structure, but this bishop on g2 is severely misplaced. Like, the minority attack works a lot worse when the bishop is here. You know, there's some plans of like knight e5 and f4 that also work much worse when the bishop is here. f3, e4 also doesn't really, I mean, the knight's on f3 for one, but just as well, the bishop on g2 probably doesn't work as well. So basically everything just doesn't work so well in these Carlsbad positions where the bishop is on g2. But you would be surprised how many people I have seen go into this structure like with almost like zero thought as why. Like, to give one example, I've noticed this specifically in the English opening sometimes, and this will be useful for you guys playing this with black if you're playing like some sort of Nimzo kind of stuff, is that, you know, they play in English and then like at some point. They might even mix it up. They go like knight c3, knight f6, g3, d5. And knight c3 and g3 don't go together so well, because like d4 can kind of come with a tempo as one issue, and there's a few others, but I won't get into the nuances right now. Also d4, the knight's a bit misplaced on c3. Again, this might be a little bit too much nuance for right now. Partially, it's not even nuance, it's a lot of just concrete reasons and nitty gritty kind of lines, which I don't think are the main things I want to emphasize right now. But what I do want to show is, like, I've, in this position, had a lot of people over the years kind of enter this position very carelessly, when, again, what we're headed for, essentially, is some sort of Carlsbad structure, where the bishop is just simply misplaced on this diagonal. Now, one thing I was mentioning at some point was this e4 break, and the engine suggests this, actually. I was thinking in this position, though, I'd get my knight onto d5, though, blockade the pawn, and it would be kind of doing alright, though. And, okay, apparently they should go there, and okay, but we still have an edge, I would say. Like, they can't force this through so easily, or I mean, they could, but they're probably going to have to defend this, which looks like a bit of an ugly position. And then, yeah, in the game, they quickly misplayed this. They played a bit too carelessly at this point. They probably should have thought a bit more and kind of realized the kind of trouble that was about to come. Now, yeah, Engine even says this is better than going b4 immediately, fair enough, but I think this is also completely fine how we played it, and okay, beyond this point, it was just a lost cause for them.